Come closer, my children. Today, I will tell you one of the greatest stories ever told. The story of Moses, the man whom God chose to set his people free. Long ago, the people of Israel lived in Egypt. They had come there during the days of Joseph. But many years had passed, and a new Pharaoh ruled the land, one who did not know Joseph. Pharaoh looked at the Israelites and said, "They are too many and too strong. We must make them our slaves." So the people of God were forced to work hard under the hot sun, building cities and carrying stones. Their hands became tired and their hearts became heavy, and every night they cried out to God for help, and God heard their cries. One day, as Moses was tending sheep far from Egypt, he saw something strange. A bush that was burning, but not consumed by the fire. When he came closer, a voice called out, "Moses, Moses!" And Moses said, "Here I am." The Lord said, "I have seen the suffering of my people in Egypt. I have heard their cries. Go to Pharaoh and tell him, 'Let my people go, that they may worship me.'" Moses trembled. "Who am I, Lord, that I should go to Pharaoh?" But God said, "I will be with you." So Moses obeyed. He returned to Egypt with his brother Aaron. Together, they went before Pharaoh and said, "The Lord, the God of Israel, says, 'Let my people go.'" But Pharaoh laughed and said, "Who is the Lord that I should obey his voice? I will not let them go." And so began a long and mighty story. The story of God's power and Pharaoh's pride. Pharaoh's heart was hard, and he refused to listen. So God showed him his signs, one after another, that all Egypt might know that he alone is God. Moses lifted his staff, and the waters of the Nile turned into blood. The fish died, and the people could not drink the water, but Pharaoh only turned away. Then came the frogs, thousands of them, covering the land, filling the houses, even Pharaoh's palace. He promised to let the people go, but when the frogs were gone, he broke his word. Then the dust of the ground turned into lice that covered every person and animal. Even Pharaoh's magicians said, "This is the finger of God." But Pharaoh's heart grew harder still. Swarms of flies came next, darkening the sky and filling the homes of the Egyptians. But not a single fly entered the homes of God's people. Still, Pharaoh said no. Then all the livestock of Egypt became sick and died. But the animals of the Israelites were safe, and Pharaoh's heart was still proud. Then painful boils broke out on the Egyptians, and hail mixed with fire rained from the sky, destroying their crops and trees. The people begged Pharaoh to listen, but he would not bow to God. Then came the locusts, hungry, loud, and endless, covering the land until it was dark with wings. They ate everything green that was left, and still Pharaoh refused. So God sent darkness, a deep, heavy darkness that lasted 3 days. No one could see or move, but in the homes of God's people there was light. Yet even then Pharaoh's heart was proud. Finally, the Lord told Moses, "This will be the last plague. At midnight, every firstborn in Egypt shall die, from Pharaoh's son to the firstborn of every servant and even the animals." That night, there was a great cry in Egypt, for death had come to the land. Pharaoh called for Moses and said with tears, "Go, take your people and leave Egypt." At last, after many years of pain, the people of God were free. Moses led them out of Egypt, and God went before them as a pillar of cloud by day and a pillar of fire by night. When they came to the Red Sea, Pharaoh changed his mind and chased after them. But Moses stretched out his staff, and the sea opened into 2 great walls of water. The people crossed on dry land, and when Pharaoh's army followed, the waters returned and covered them. God had saved his people. As they journeyed through the desert, God called Moses to climb Mount Sinai to meet with him. Thunder rolled, lightning flashed, and the mountain shook with the presence of the Lord. And there, God gave Moses the 10 Commandments, holy laws for his people, to teach them how to love God and one another. God said, "I am the Lord your God. You shall have no other gods before me. Honor your father and mother. Do not steal. Do not lie. Do not kill. Remember the Sabbath day and keep it holy." The people promised to obey, but even when they stumbled, God stayed faithful to them, guiding them, feeding them, and leading them to his promise. And so, my dear children, the story of Moses reminds us that God is mighty to save, faithful to his promises and full of mercy. He wants us to love him, obey him, and trust him completely. When we harden our hearts like Pharaoh, we find trouble. But when we listen and follow, we find freedom and peace. For God's power always leads to love.